Welcome.
Oh,
Yeah, I did it.
shoot. Welcome to the Gnostic Deluge. We didn't even say that last time.
Did we not say that?
I don't think
Uh-oh.
so. So the people are gonna be like, what am I even listening to?
What is this?
Welcome to the Gnostic Deluge, a very special episode.
Yep.
A little thing we like to call the
Smorgasbord.
Smorgasbord. So
Do you call it smorgasbord or smorgasborg?
we did. I'm just gonna record you saying that because that's every time. Board. Smorgasbord.
Okay.
B-O-R-D.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I keep on thinking.
I
And
know.
then I hear you say it, and
I
I'm
said
like,
smorgasbord.
for some reason in my
It
mind, I
sounds
hear
like a
it.
G.
Yeah.
Well, so this is where we talk about whatever's going on, and this is a good one because we just did an episode on some topic that Brandon picked,
Yeah, compensation.
compensation, and if you listen to it, you will be compensated.
You will. You know what I
Not
like?
maybe not monetarily.
Yeah.
Definitely not monetarily. But
And keep in mind that there will be a consequence right away when you listen to this. It might not come around for a while.
wait, so not right away, but.
Well, there will be one
Anyway.
planted right away. Right?
So hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. That's one that Brandon has. He's a big
Here we go again, right?
RWE fan. RWE. Let's just get it.
RWE. It's too long. RWE.
Yeah, Emerson. He's a big Emerson fan.
Yep.
And he's been so. And there's a lot of really neat stuff in there. So I think. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna try to definitely be thinking about that. I guess the more the thing is, the more that you learn about these kind of things, the more naturally you're able to implement them in your life. Hopefully.
Hey, Mark.
So,
Hey, I'm going to throw one out here for you. The reason why I'm doing this is because
whoa, live?
I'm doing this.
Like,
Have you ever heard of Henry David Thoreau?
Yeah, Walden and
Okay,
and civil disobedience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're well versed with Thoreau.
I'm not well versed. I don't think anybody has actually read Walden, but
Do you know who? You don't think anybody's read Walden?
I think it's one of those ones I started to try to read
yeah,
it.
yeah. So do you know who owned Walden Pond?
His dad or his father-in-law.
I don't. Maybe Godfather.
Emerson?
Emerson owned it.
Really?
Yeah. Walden Pond.
Really?
Yeah. Actually, he didn't own it. He owned the land on that bank of Walden Pond. So he didn't own the pond.
I've heard all kinds of things about. Now I'm confused who it is. What's his name?
Henry David Thoreau.
Like he'd just go out there and then every night he'd go home and eat with his mom and stuff. Do a homemade thing. He's like, I'm going to go and build a house on the woods.
So what he did was he was a friend with Ralph Waldo Emerson. Okay.
Yeah.
And he was getting ready he wanted to prepare to write a book that he ended up writing. He ended up writing Walden as kind of a bonus. Like, he went to prepare for a different book.
It's funny because that's his biggest one, his most known work.
Yeah. And so Emerson was like, hey, I own this little piece of land on Walden Pond. You can, head out there. And so what Henry David Thoreau did, or David Henry Thoreau.
We have to...
Thoreau. What Thoreau did was he actually built this little tiny cabin, which in those days, in the 1800s, was as big as a bedroom.
Yeah.
Yeah. He built this little cabin, and he actually lived there for a year or two, and he basically was a hermit.
That's cool.
Yeah, and that's what Walden is about. Is that couple year?
Well, he was part of the transcendentalist movement too. So these guys, but actually, his thing on civil disobedience is really good. Then that's a short one.
He made the neck. Have
you read that one?
I haven't yet. He made the neck beard really cool too.
The neck beard, heck yeah, dude! Make neck beards big again.
Should we get into neck beards and then
serious? I've seen pictures. Okay, he's got this freaking. I mean, he's like, okay,
he would shave here,
the face, and then just his neck. I mean, hey, whatever floats your boat. I guess you're living by Walden Pond.
Oh, I'm gonna crack. I started doing this
You're like thirsty. Well, okay, so speaking of neck beards, because well, no, no neck beards. Okay, neck beards are usually they're called hipsters.
Yeah.
You know, usually they'll have a neck beard. You know,
Sure, it's called. I've
hipsters.
seen
They'll be
it.
wearing a hat and have a
Yeah.
neck beard. You know, some kind of. But so we're drinking. What would this be called? Not handcrafted, but you know, kind of a hipster
It
drink.
is. It's brewed. It has fermented stuff in it, so it's brewed.
So it's Fentimans, botanically brewed, traditional rose lemonade.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet you Tanya would like this. She loves rose for some reason.
Oh, should have brought another one.
Yeah, what the heck?
Should not.
Hopefully she doesn't watch this one.
Okay.
Don't watch.
Yeah. I
Okay,
brought a
so
Fentimans
it's
product
nice-
about
it's
a year
nice
ago. Remember?
Pink, yeah. But that was the one that was like. Okay. If you've ever smelled rose perfume, it tastes like that. It reminds me of pickles, pickle juice,
There's probably that
You
fermented
get
ginger
that?
in there.
pickle juice.
Now that you said pickle
Yeah.
juice, I almost smell it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love, actually, you know what? There's nothing better to me than at the end of eating a thing of Clausen's pickles to take a couple sips of that juice.
Oh yeah.
So
So this is a
that's
thing.
interesting. So, okay.
I wouldn't
think
say-
it's because of the taste of rose with this kind of sourness of the lemonade. That's why it's the pickle. Oh my gosh. It's
Yeah.
total pickles. So they should change it to pickle juice.
Pickle juice. Pink pickle juice.
Pink pickle juice. So that's the Fentimans.
I wouldn't say it's something that you would like crave.
Like, gosh, who else could go for a rose lemonade right about now? But actually, you know what? Pickle juice is pretty refreshing. And it's got a lot of nutrients. So if ever you're dehydrated, that's your go-to right there.
So I have I do orders from Target and they ship to my house. And last week I did an order, and
Do they have any interesting ginger beers you can get from there?
I haven't checked really.
Come on,
But anyways,
Brandon.
I made this order a few weeks ago. A few weeks ago, I made an order where I got some Clausen pickles coming in, and they delivered them, and they're the sandwich sliced ones, right?
Wait. Had better have delivered them in a refrigerated...
It was.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's how Clausens are supposed to be, right?
Yeah.
Well, anyways, I made another order last week. I didn't order any pickles, but some came in the order for some reason.
Yes. Score.
It was Clausen's spicy spears.
Spicy spears?
Spicy spears.
You have... No, Clausen's... With a C. Yeah,
yeah,
the
with
refrigerated.
Clausen. Yeah.
Spicy spears and...
Yeah. They were fantastic. Yeah, they're a little spicy, and then they're the wedge shaped ones, you know.
Oh, Brandon, now we're gonna have
And
to
it was
have a pickle tasting.
And so they dropped them off, and I was like, I didn't order this. And I'm like, do I say anything?
of course, him.
I'll leave it up in the
knowing
air whether
about
I did or not.
compensation, let's just say something happened. Let's just say they were eaten.
Let's just say that the lady who delivered them got a fat tip that day.
Of a Clausen.
No, a financial tip.
Oh,
You
yeah.
tip the deliverer person.
You do?
You do it online. Like after they deliver the stuff, then it says, "How was your
I don't
experience?"
know how it is.
So after the Target shopper delivers your stuff, then it asks you how it went and if you want to tip the shopper or not.
She got a shiny quarter.
She got a little more than normal because I'm
Let's
like,
just say.
thanks for the Clausen spears.
Yeah. Well, so
That was a lot of compensation for her. She hooked me up with some spicy Clausen spears. She got about an extra $5 on the tip.
that's weird that they would give you spicy. I mean, it sounds great though. I got a spicy pickle actually sitting in my fridge
Yeah,
that I bought like months ago at Circle K.
it's still good.
I need
Are
to
you gonna eat it still?
Yeah, they're good for I mean, they're just sitting in vinegar. You got to think about that. I've tried to make my own pickles.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, naturally fermented pickles are not what you think. They don't taste like regular like.
I
Clausen's
haven't.
pickles.
I haven't done. I have no. I've done
They're
fermented foods. I haven't done pickles.
They're more sour.
That's what it would. I would guess.
I mean, okay, if you make your own sauerkraut, that tastes like sauerkraut.
Mm-hmm.
But pickles, naturally fermented, are different. They're not as good. So then because I wanted the fermentation, what is that? The probiotics
Yeah.
and stuff, natural. But they just don't taste as good. But I made a knockoff of Clausen's pickles, and they tasted really good. But you use vinegar for that, like white vinegar.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah. So, but
We should do some. We should do some fermentations. I know that you've gotten involved in some in the past.
Yeah.
I've only done sauerkraut. And have you ever heard of Rejuvelac?
No.
I've done Rejuvelac.
What the heck is Rejuvelac?
You remember? Do you remember the book Extreme? I think it's called Extreme Fermentation, by Sandor Katz. Oh, maybe it was just me.
Extreme fermentation. I know
Anyways,
there's a whole
What it is, what Rejuvelac is you what's it called? You germinate wheat berries, right? Like you're sprouting them.
Yeah.
And every day, or maybe not, I can't. What's every day? I think after 3 days, what you do is when you're sprouting grains, you have to like rinse them out.
Yeah.
Well, with this,
you keep the rinse.
with this, you keep the rinse and you pour it into another container, and then you pour clean water into the sprouted, and you do the normal thing. But you keep the old water, right?
Yeah.
And it's basically like probiotic filled water.
Oh, okay.
And then you can add a little sweetener to it if you want, or just drink it like it is, because it's already sweet. Because the sprouted wheat actually is kind of sweet.
Okay.
And so it's kind of like this sweet fermented drink that really gives like it. It's like I think that's why it's called Rejuvelac. It really like if you when you're really like exhausted and then you drink like a drink that has a lot of electrolytes, you can feel like rejuvenation. Like that's what this Rejuvelac does. Except for it has a little bit of a fermentation bite to it.
So it's got maybe some carbonation and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Well, I mean, yeah, they've been doing fermentation for. I mean, that's part of the whole Egyptian thing.
Yeah.
Bread and beer.
Yeah.
They're buried with. I was just looking at your T-shirt. He's got Thoth on it.
Yeah.
Our good friend Hermes Trismegistus.
Our good friend here, Dejuti. What's the name you pronounce? You know, Thoth is actually pronounced like.
Oh yeah, something.
Dejuti or de.
Yeah, I like Thoth. Or but people even say
Thoth.
Thoth, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Get it out.
I guess like tooth.
You gotta put an E in the end for the O to be a heightened vowel, right? That's what I always say. Like, hey, there's no E in the end. Don't call it Thoth. Right.
But if you're spell tooth, Tooth, right?
Well, that's because the double vowels make it heightened.
Oh.
But at one single vowel, it can only be heightened by.
It's only one.
You have to have a.
Okay, guys, we got you. We figured it out.
We got it.
Hey, don't say
Thoth.
Yeah.
Say Thoth.
Really dumb. And we just figured it out. I forgot I was thinking it was double O.
Yeah. Thoth.
So it's not.
Thoth would sound like a H.P. Lovecraft type creature. Thoth.
Yeah. Oh, we're watching this show.
Oh, are you watching that one?
Yeah, it's. Okay.
I haven't. I know that.
If you're into racism and H.P. Lovecraft, it's a great show.
Oh, really? Interesting. I'll have to read the notes.
It's kind of interesting because from the 50s, but we watched the second episode, and this is H.P. Lovecraft Country, I think it's called.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
And the second episode, like, it just didn't go together very well. Like, they just kind of jumped around. How you liking that pickle juice? You know what? I think Fentiman's, the last one we had, was...
It was also weird.
Yeah.
It was a burdock.
It's got to be good for you. Yeah.
Drink. Yeah.
But anyway. Yeah, man. Pickle juice. What we're going to have to start getting is that... who's the big like craft soda company?
The big Lovecraft soda company?
No.
What do you say?
Craft soda.
Oh, Jones.
Yeah, they actually have like a pickle juice flavored one.
Oh my gosh, I think I've heard of that. Yeah.
Well, shoot, we're drinking it right now.
Pickle. This is actually Jones's pickle juice soda. So
Anyway,
I efficiently derailed the beginning of the episode.
Lovecraft Country. It's okay.
Okay.
Like, it's funny because there's a secret society in there, and it's the Society of the Golden. It's not dawn, but it's sunrise or something like. Because I was like, wait, this is that book I got, the Golden Dawn. But
and they're like cultists.
Yeah. So they're trying to open the Garden of Eden. At least in this episode. I don't know where it's going to go from here. But, like, so they had to use this guy, try to open the Garden of Eden so they can live forever or something.
Interesting.
But, and that, I'm like, what does that have to do with H.P. Lovecraft?
I think they've taken a spin. They've taken liberties on other stories that he's written.
Because does he have, like, magic and stuff and mages and secret?
Yeah, kind of.
I mean, I guess people would consider him an occultist type writer.
Yeah, I would. Anyway. In certain definitions, yeah.
I'm not a big fan of the stuff I've read by him. Are you?
I am.
You are?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I read or listened to the Hill House or the
House in the
one where the guy's a fish.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few. I like, my favorite one is a short one. It's called the Old Man, the Terrible Old Man, I think maybe. And then I like the few of the shorter ones the most. The Terrible Old Man's a good one.
Well, I'll have to check out more. I mean, it was just that one. I was like, I don't know when he was alive, but
in the early 20s. Like his most famous work, The Call of Cthulhu, was written in it was first published in 1927.
I'm gonna have to check out Call of Cthulhu. I remember we had a D&D type game that was called Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah, it was like an RPG.
Yeah, that we had. I don't know if we ever really got playing it. I think Dave was trying to get it going. But
yeah, I've heard of it. So
anyway,
yeah.
Oh, huge. Okay, this is one thing I wanted to talk to you about. And if anybody's on Audible, they just released a whole thing where they have a bunch of free books now.
Oh, I've heard about this.
So awesome! I'm like, this finally, because
it's like a streaming service, right?
No, it's the same same service, except for they added a whole bunch of books to their list, and they're adding new ones every month. So I got it. There was a bunch of free books that I got, like 1984. Just recently listened to it, and maybe we'll have something on that. They really depressed me though. Master Eckhart's Book of Secrets.
Oh, that's one of the. I almost put him on the list. You know that list I get you.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, maybe if, like these are just some of the ones I got. The Doors of Perception by Aldous Huxley. I think it's all about his kind of tripping on.
Yeah.
LSD.
He has he has another book more popular than that. That's kind of like 1984, right?
Oh yeah, I
Brave New World. I think.
Yeah, that's one of the. Because I read 1984 first, and then I read Brave New World, because like, oh well, this is, and it's nowhere near as good as 1984.
So I've heard that's how it is.
Yeah.
If you read Brave New World first, then you don't care for 1984.
Oh, 2001. Really?
I've heard that. I haven't.
The opposite?
I've heard that it goes both ways.
Okay, well, unfortunately, I did it
the other way.
You
can only do it one way.
I'll never have any love for Brave New World, but 2001.
Okay.
Which is really good.
Yeah, by who is that?
Arthur C. Clarke.
Arthur C. Clarke. Okay.
So those are just a few that I got. Actually, did I
see that
for free?
Anne has the 12th Planet now.
12th Planet. Yeah. That's really by Zachariah Sitchin.
But
the one I'm listening to right now is called The Cult America.
Who's the author?
Mitch Horowitz. It's really interesting because it's talking about how the origins of kind of the occult in America.
I bet it's really deep.
But it's talking about there's in New York area there, and I think over to Pennsylvania stuff. There's the thing called the Burn Over District. You've heard about, where there was this religious fervor going on in the 1800s,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and there's this. They kept on preaching and preaching.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of these things came from. Mormonism,
Seventh-day Adventist.
yeah.
Um,
I'm trying to think.
Christian Science.
Yeah, Christian Science, all this stuff. The Ouija board came out of anyway, all this different stuff came out of that area. There was a huge occult thing that happened there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all these experimentations and kind of new, and that's where the new thought, ideas came up.
Yeah.
That were a lot of stuff that
You're right.
we're kind of talking about. So anyway, it's really interesting to hear about the history of it. I wish I, was taking notes as I have, but I'm saying if anybody's interested in that, this is a really cool book because it goes into like how we even got the Ouija board.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And then talking about those like in Big where there's the fortune teller.
Yeah. The machine.
Yeah, the Zoran or whatever.
I remember that.
And and then all of a sudden pops out a little thing.
Little ticket or card.
The guy that invented that, and then there was this guy that wrote these things like, I saw heaven, I talked to God. He put out these ads, and then all these people respond to him. He would send him a booklet and to teach him how to. It's just a really interesting little book. You don't realize how deeply the occult, or and that makes it sound evil. But
unfortunately, because the way the word's used today.
Yeah, because it's a cult. But this is even talking about that. This is just saying what a huge tradition of the occult.
Yeah, it's everywhere. Look, you look at it's in our. It's everywhere.
Well, yeah, with Masons, and I didn't realize that the Masons were actually really an anti-Catholic kind of.
Oh, neither did I.
That they were, as far as I understand. And that might have been one of the big reasons the founding fathers, because there was a very strong anti-Catholic thing, even up into the 1960s. Whenever John F. Kennedy,
I remember hearing about. I remember reading about that.
Yeah. So it was just interesting because they were worried that the Pope was going to control him or whatever is supposed idea. But I'm just saying, if you look at the way different things are laid out, and Dan Brown actually, if you ever read any of his books.
He plays around with it.
Yeah, he basically takes other people's books and then puts it into
like Holy Blood, Holy Grail.
Yeah. Or the other one was the one about the Masons in Washington D.C.
Yeah.
And how the whole thing's laid out, according to, and was done on certain days and stuff. But anyway, it's just really interesting read, and this doesn't go into that part about it. With the Masons and stuff, but
Mitch Horowitz.
Yeah. And it's like I said, that's where I found out, actually Ralph Waldo Emerson is one of the people that really influenced the New Thought movement and that happened. Kind of the reemergence or this power of positive thinking kind of thing.
Yeah. This is interesting, yeah. There's a book that I have by Gary Lackman that kind of talks about that a little bit, but more modern.
How by the same guy, the old Blondie guy?
Yeah. It's I can't remember what it's called.
Oh, so you got another book by him?
I have a few books by him.
You're a fan, huh?
Well...
Did you ever finish that book?
Yeah.
The other one?
Yeah, The Quest for Hermes. Want me to hand it over to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to read it.
My frustration with his books is none of them are on audiobook, and so it's hard. It takes longer to get through things.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But it didn't look like it was a really long book or anything.
No, it wasn't. I have a few by him. He also has like an autobiography on, or what is it, auto or biography? Anyways, he writes a book on a guy named Rudolf Steiner. Have you heard of him? He's like a modern.
You know who's another big person?
Hermetic guy.
Rudolf Steiner? I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I'm just getting into even knowing about anything about hermetics. So, but oh gosh, some guy. No, I can't. I had his name. Strasbourg. No. Anyway, whatever. But so what do you want to talk about, Brandon?
Well, I already
What do you got going on?
I threw in the. I started everything off with the laughter about the neckbeard and
neckbeards
and Thoro.
Okay, so one of the next things we're going to be talking about is the Tao Te Ching.
Yeah, I thought that'd be. I've always wanted to. So I've gone through a few different versions of that.
Yeah, me too.
And I like. There's some that I like more than others. And then I recently found the version that I share with you, and I thought it was really interesting.
By the Beast himself, Aleister Crowley. It's interesting because Aleister Crowley's got a very
bad, tainted.
He's got rap, but his early stuff, it was really influential. He was big in. I mean, he was one of the first to expose or release what happened in the Golden Dawn.
Mm-hmm.
You know, their ceremonies and different things. Yeah. He was one of the kind of intellectuals at the beginning, and then he ended up going off his own way.
Yeah.
You know, and supposedly was a spy and
correct.
You
yeah.
know, like
I think this is when he. I think it was when he did this translation of his own. Oh, the Tao Te Ching. I think this is post Golden Dawn.
I don't think it's not a translation.
It's his interpretation.
It's a transliteration.
Transliteration.
Isn't that what they would call it?
I know. There's always a.
Well, but yeah, so it's him taking it, and I think he might have worked with somebody that actually translated it, and then him putting it, because in his own words.
Yeah.
So it's interesting the way he does it, because you're like, oh yeah, you know, it kind of shows it in more or not in more of a, but the way it's worded is kind of a hermetic.
Connects it better.
Yeah. That's it. That's what I was looking for. So, dude, the Tao, whenever, because I'm just listening to a version on LibriVox.
Yeah.
And it's really good. You're like, whoa. And then this is all like, it's just funny how everything's related, you know, whenever it comes to spirituality or whatever. Like, you're like, wait, this is the exact same thing this is saying. Like, because we'll talk about it, but the one, you know, becoming two different things, you know, and then but we'll discuss it.
So that's like what you're doing is you're just giving a little bit of a heads up, like that's what's coming for us.
But the interesting thing, or the sucky thing about having works that are translated, which is actually most of the stuff,
mm-hmm.
but is that it just depends on the translation you get. Like, we had the same thing with Epictetus.
Yeah, you're right. It is. You're right. We had two different.
Whereas, like, oh, I didn't like that one, and all of a sudden you read it, and I'm like, wait, that makes sense. I was like, wait, that's not, mine said this, you know.
That's the huge issue with language, and the kind of the price you pay is when you're going through something that's old, and you can't translate it yourself, or even if you can, you know, like I kind of like oh, I gotta teach myself enough. The thing is, it would take me forever to learn.
Yeah, to learn
Chinese well enough.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
You're better. You're probably, if that's your field, whatever, you're better off just studying other people's, because and just trying to work it through your own language, because translation is not only taking the actual literal words, but also you're putting it into an interpretation into the language and culture that you are in. That's why I think that, what's his name, Aleister Crowley's one works so well, is because he's putting it into a context that if you're
right,
if you know anything about, or are beginning to learn about, you know, hermetic stuff or whatever,
yep,
or even Christian.
Sure. No, he does. You're right.
You read through the Tao and you're like, whoa, there's all kinds of Christian stuff too. find all kinds of things that go with what Jesus taught. You know.
Keep in mind that Mark had a couple of sodas before we started on this episode. So yeah, that's why
I'm burping up pickle juice. I can't believe that. And look at Brandon. He's like committed. He's like, I'm drinking this. Okay.
Mark has a page. Let's see what your notes have, Mark. I'm interested. Mark has some interesting things, right? No, should I not spoil anything?
Oh, are you talking about like Lex Friedman or whatever?
I don't know. You had some things you listened to that were really cool.
Okay, well we'll just play this because yesterday I heard some interesting podcasts. We'll just play this part because I read through. I'm interested to talk to you about. What's the Foundation?
Oh yeah,
Isaac Asimov's.
Yeah.
Foundation, like what you like about it.
Have you started book? You're like, I can't stand it.
No.
What do you like? Did you start book 2 yet?
I started it.
Okay.
The
Mule, man.
Because I got through book 1, and it's interesting enough. It's interesting. You're like, okay, but it keeps skipping around to different.
It's like this right here. It's like this rose lemonade. It's interesting. You're glad that you tried it, right? Mm-hmm. It's more than that, though. I don't want to put. I actually love. I love Foundation.
I'm not saying the first one's not good. I'm just like kind of like, okay, where's it going?
Yeah.
And I'm not telling you to tell me where it's going, but okay, I understand the idea that the guy saw that there was a destruction coming, and like, is there a twist? Okay, that's all I'm asking.
Yeah, so there is a twist in book 2.
Okay, because I understand the Selden crisis is,
So I think the twist is when you map out something using this psychohistory that he has, right? When you map something out so far, the farther you go, the more dependent you are for something to be correct in order, and then what happens if you were incorrect if you made a miscalculation,
you've gone, well, yeah, it's like that little thing where you got a straight line, and all of a sudden you make a little teeny
correct
thing off, and then all of a sudden it's like
way off.
I mean, we're just tiny
miles off,
but whenever the amount of time, all of a sudden it's just all the way over, like so far away.
So that, without spoilers, yeah, I think that book 2 will be interesting. Okay. I remember at the end of book 2, I was like, oh wow, this happened. This is a really cool thing, But
really,
that's what I did. Yeah.
That's cool because it's not okay. It's not as space agey as you think. Because I thought it was going to be, but it was written in the 60s and stuff. But yeah, kind of like 2001 was really good. That one's really.
Did you already listen to it? You already listened to it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And just the whole idea is like, what? And then it's just crazy. Like, I need to watch the movie. I don't know if I've ever seen it. I know I've seen parts of it, but I just wanted to play this little thing this guy says.
Do it.
His name is this is on Tinfoil Hat with Sam Tripoli, which is my favorite conspiracy show.
Is that why I recognize it? Is it from you? Have you mentioned him before?
Maybe.
Okay.
But there's this guy on called gosh dang it, what was his name?
I get it, Tinfoil Hat. I get it. There's some nerdery to that, isn't there?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's embracing the Tinfoil Hat conspiracy people, but this is a guy named what was his name? Gosh, it's like scrolling so slow.
Yeah, you're at the mercy of the. Hey, by the way, thanks for fixing the Spotify thing.
What Spotify thing?
You fixed the Gnostic Deluge's feed on Spotify.
I did good. Because I tried. Let's see if this is it. Anyway, I'll find his name.
The wisdom of the crowd says, I'm at the county fair. There's a mason jar full of thousands of gumballs. Everyone's going to guess how many gumballs in the gumball thing. And by the time 100 people have guessed, if you average every guess, you're usually within 100. or 200 of the actual number. If 1,000 people guess, you're starting to get within 1% of the actual number of gumballs. And if more than that guess, you're right on the damn money of how many thousands of gumballs are in that mace. That's called wisdom of the crowd. And what's going on with data collection and computers makes that look like preschool at best.
Anyway.
Preschool at best.
Yeah, so I thought that was interesting. I going along with the foundation, like in this math, like if data collection, and if you can get enough data, and this is, you know, from different people, you can calculate exactly, you know, down to the number. And he's like, and they were talking about it in the idea of data collection for computer companies, and how they're basically able to determine, you know, and how scary of an idea that is.
Yeah, it
you
is.
know, and like, think about if governments could do that or something, like, or they're trying, you know, they're always trying to manipulate you. And that was kind of along the lines of the 7 Hermetic Principles. And also 1984, it's all about manipulation and getting the people to do what you want.
Yeah, you're right. That's what you're saying.
But that's scary.
So that's the thing is that's called machine learning, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy what, like, the when I watch my 3-year-old son, right? And he's playing with the car, or he's playing with the little rocket ship toy, and I say, "Rocket, that's a rocket." And he looks at it like, "Huh?" You know. And then I walk in the room the next day, and he's playing the rocket ship again, and hey, Jude, that's a rocket ship. And he goes, "Oh, rocket," and he starts to connect the dots.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I have this in my hand again, and my big protector guy said rocket. This must be called a rocket ship.
Yeah.
Right. Computers are not as smart as humans because they don't have, you know, conscious, right?
Yeah.
But they're a lot faster. And so you can take that event and you can run it thousands of times in milliseconds. And so you can take patterns of conversations, you can take events in history and what happened after this, and chronologically place them in data points, and computers can really quickly figure out the patterns on how things work.
Yeah.
By running the results thousands of times in milliseconds. And where it takes us years to figure out, like, to connect dots, like, oh my gosh, this is all related. Computers can do that in seconds.
Yeah.
And there is our data is everywhere, and it's paid for quite a bit. Like, there's a whole industry in like, hey, yeah, we're offering you this service
for free. But
what we really want is your data.
Hey, it's compensation.
Yeah, you're exactly.
That's what I'm saying. You think I'm getting, whoa, this is so cool. Like, the internet, it's free, man. You know, this browser, it's free. It's just helping me do this, but that's not. I mean, not to. There's a price to be paid. No, there's no free lunch.
Well, see, I'll brag. I pay for my email service.
You do?
Yeah. You know how I have that weird email address?
Yeah.
I pay for it because, you know, and like apps I put on my phone, I'll have people like, hey, have you tried this right here? And I'm like, and I look at it and it's free. And I'm like, how is this free? You know, how is this free?
Yeah.
Well, no, it has like ads and stuff. I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. Oh, come on, you can just look past them. And like, no. You know, if they offer, I'll pay $5.
I've been thinking about going to a flip phone or something, you know.
Yeah, I'll pay $5 for a good app. Okay, I would rather pay money for an app on my phone than to sit there and to like have consistently just putting ads in front of me. The good thing about LibriVox is it's in my pocket, or it's on. I don't have to. The ads are like in the way.
Well, LibriVox too.
I'm giving an example of how LibriVox doesn't bother me too much because I'm not looking at the app really.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, it's. Well, but I'm sure they've also got the same system going,
Yeah. Data.
except for they got volunteers to read the books, but the app is tracking you still. Anyway, it's just interesting.
Get closer to the microphone.
The whole idea of calculating crowds, but a computer can calculate crowds, but they don't know where each individual is necessarily going to end up, and that's
You're right.
It's but then again they can manipulate you into thinking that you want to be with the crowd, I guess.
That's actually what this Gary Lackman's book is about. The one I have.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's called I'll give you the name of the book. I haven't read it yet. I have started it and I read the summary of it, but I'll tell you the name of it. It's basically about that manipulation that happens, and he's linking it to there it is. Dark Star Rising. Magic and Power in the Age of Trump.
Oh.
And I don't think it's necessarily like I don't think it's a book that leans like a certain like political direction or anything. It just happens to be that this is the age of Trump, right?
No, yeah, but there's all kinds of manipulation going on all sides.
Exactly.
So you don't need to,
defend it or protect it or act like I'm not. Yeah, but
either. You know what? That's the thing, is that even if you were on one side or the other, or in the middle, you're like one side saying there's manipulation going on that side, the other side saying there's manipulation going on that side. Everybody's accusing the other of what the other's doing anyway. But it's a very interesting time to be alive. But that's the thing. Reading 1984, and when we were texting back and forth on what to do, I was kind of like, oh, maybe we could do 1984 because kind of the manipulation in there is kind of the magic that we talked about in the 7 Hermetic Principles, where they're using the polarity and stuff. They're this constant war, and there's always this enemy, that you gotta, there's this 7 or 2 minute hate every day where you're, but they're just using this mental manipulation to control people.
That's interesting. So I'll work on finishing that up.
Oh, well, it's a depressing book, man. I always hate the end because it's such a good book, because all of a sudden you're in this dystopia. I'm just gonna say real quick.
Okay. In
this dystopia, and then where you're just like, there's these TV screens watching everything you do. There's people burnt. They're taking in the news and editing it, and like just putting things down the memory hole where you don't, and it's all of a sudden they're fighting one enemy. Next day, they're fighting another one. Nobody can say anything about it, and then all of a sudden this awesome thing happens to this guy, and your heart like kind of.
Oh, you get like emotionally involved in what's happening.
Also you're like, oh my gosh, like, because you're in this dystopian nightmare, but it catches up with them, man.
Compensation.
I don't want to say what happens because it's such. And then all of a sudden you just feel like crying at the end. It's like,
I think a lot of good books that resonate a lot are kind of depressing, because that's the real. That's why they resonate so much.
Yeah, there's not the happy ending doesn't always happen, or it doesn't happen.
If you want the happy ending that you really want, then go sit in a field of flowers for the day, and just hopefully no like wolf takes a deer down in front of you, but like.
Yeah. Anyway, so the next thing I think we're going to do is the Tao, right?
That'd be really cool. Okay.
We're going to probably do like each of us are going to take top 5.
Yeah.
So then we can read like the whole little thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Or we're not, because we did 10 for that, right?
I think it was 10.
I mean,
But these
it'd
are
be
longer.
interesting
These are
to-
long. A lot of these are longer. Like a lot of Epictetus's quotes or snippets were like short. There was some long ones.
some of these are really short though too.
Yeah, but there's some that are, I don't know. We'll see.
Anyway, but yeah, that'll be a good one. It'll be interesting to see if we pick any of the same ones, because there's 83, I think. So 80 in the 80s, 87.
Yeah,
maybe.
80 something.
But so we'll each pick our top 5 out of the 83, ones that, and then we'll see if we have any of the same.
Okay, cool.
'Cause did we have a couple on the other one?
We did have a couple.
So
Yeah, and then we had a few that because of our different translations, we're like, oh, I would have chose that one if.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
if it wasn't for. So we're going. Okay, I'm listening. I'm on LibriVox. I'm listening to another version, but then I'm just going to write down the ones I like, and then look over and
Okay.
I'm going to read over also
Okay.
the Beasts.
Okay. I'll do the same
version.
thing.
For
For information wise, my favorite version that I've ever read so far is by a man named Jonathan Starr. But
Jonathan Starr.
Jonathan Starr. But I'll do the same thing.
Is it one that's readily available?
It's kind of like how Brian Copenhaver's version of the Corpus Hermeticum was the best one we found, but it was also recent enough where we couldn't like find it for free anywhere.
Well, I don't mind paying for it.
It's Jonathan Starr.
It's good because actually the version I have like a paperback version, and it's not very good.
Okay.
I mean, it just doesn't resonate with me.
My second favorite version is by Ursula Le Guin.
I thought it was going to be Ursula Minor. The little bear.
The little bear. No, Ursula Le Guin. K. Le Guin. Isn't that her name? Ursula K. Le Guin? The woman who wrote. You know who Ursula Le Guin is?
No.
Ursula.
You're into all kinds of different things that I don't.
No, you know Ursula Le Guin. She writes Earthsea, I think. I've read her book.
That's Dave that that's
okay.
knows her, because you've said something about her before, and I was like, I don't know who she is. I've never heard of this lady.
Yeah, this lady right here, Ursula K. Le Guin.
And she does science fiction or something? Or?
She's done lots of books. She's done The Left Hand of Darkness. Have you read that one?
Uh-uh.
You would like it. Left Hand of Darkness is science fiction. Wizard of Earthsea. That's about the wizard Geb.
The Depossessed? Is that her?
Yeah, but I haven't read that one.
Oh. And she did a Tao?
Yeah,
That's weird. I mean, I guess it's like Aleister Crowley. Like, she doesn't speak Chinese, or right?
Yeah, but she's one of the ones that might. You know how people have some people look right here. 1969. Dao De Ching.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the one I'm listening to is really good. The translation.
Yeah.
And it must be an old one because it's on LibriVox. So.
Yeah. I think I have that one too.
Well, there's a couple on LibriVox. I'll have to send. This is the one, because there's, oops, yeah, there's a couple different. Anyway, I'll quit talking about.
So that's a good smorgasbord right there.
Yeah, I think
we got some good things coming, and we'll do the Dao De Ching next time.
What are you getting from these free apps? There's no free app.
That's nothing's free. It's like, you know how many...
We're tracking you by listening to this.
That's the thing, is we just talked about compensation, right? And do you know how many little phrases there are that everybody says every day that explains... I mean, the whole you are what you eat, you get what goes around comes around, like nothing's free.
That's what his
everybody
point
knows
was.
it. Everybody knows it.
But they want to deny it.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, that's the problem with, what do we call them? Cliches, is that they're so true that you say them, but then you don't implement them.
Here's one.
Whenever you see it, you say, whenever you see it after it happens, you say the cliche.
Exactly.
But when you're in the middle of it, you don't think that.
Exactly. We mentioned that. Here's one right here. What is it? One finger. What is it? What do you say when someone points at you?
One finger pointing at me. There's 3 pointing right back at you.
Oh, it's like everybody's. I know. Obviously, I couldn't say because I couldn't recite it. But yeah,
you're like, what's this? Like, is this the stick up? Like, okay, Brandon, what do you want? Just take it.
No, it's what people do. I don't know how many times I've like pointed at something, like done this, and someone says, "Watch out! You have one finger pointing at them, but you have a few fingers pointing back at you."
True.
It's like,
that is true.
Then the universe aligns, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, you're right."
Like, I'm worse. Wait, I'm gonna do it this way. So I got 3 fingers pointing at you, and
you should do that.
Or
you should
one
point to someone.
Yeah, I'm like, what do you think you're doing? And they're like, why? Wait, no, you're doing it the wrong way. And it's like, no, I only have one finger pointing at me, 3 fingers pointing at you. It's like that thing. Like, I had this whole thing I would do with whenever someone says something mean, I'm half rubber and half glue. Whatever you say bad bounces off me and sticks.
Oh,
on
that's
you.
like a nice kid. It's a nice kidism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then you have to go into detail because you're like, and you're half rubber and half glue too. So whatever you say, I say good bounces off you and sticks on me. Like you.
Whatever, man.
Whenever I was a kid, I had this whole thing, and then whenever you say bad, bounce off me and sticks. Anyway.
The philosophies of a
child. Out of the mouth of babes. Am I right?
Out of the mouth of babes.
Remember Noah? He's like, as a baby.
Yeah, he's all like
prophesying. Like,
speaking.
I got a weird kid.
His hair's all like white as snow, and he's like rays of light shooting out of his eyes.
There's this book I found on LibriVox called The Wisdom of Methuselah.
Okay.
Do you know who was the oldest guy?
Yeah.
And it was all about his, like, him and women. Like, his wisdom on women.
Really?
Yeah. Because he was so old, he had married a bunch of women, supposedly.
I bet that's a great book.
It is interesting.
Yeah, probably fun.
Yeah. So, anyway.
Mark,
all right.
I had a good time.
Me too. So, we'll be getting back with the Tao, which has got some seriously cool wisdom. And so for somebody to write something like be able to encompass something in such a small little verse, it's just like the Stoics and stuff.
Yep.
Like,
Parables.
is really neat. It's cool. And like those cliches, sometimes the simplest things are
you started saying a new one, right? From the smallest.
We can't think of a cliche. From the simplest comes the most complex. But actually, that reminds me of that thing that we were listening, that the guy Lex Friedman, about talking about how the universe is made of super simple things multiplied. It is a multiplication of simple.
Yeah.
There's nothing complicated
monad.
about it.
It's the monad.
That's what I'm saying. If you think of even old Hermetic things and, there's fire. It's like Pokemon. Fire, water, air. Wait, fire, water, air, and earth.
Yeah.
Those are the basic 4 elements.
Yeah.
And, there's not anything, everything's made up of that.
Correct.
If that's true or not, I don't know. But I'm saying, sometimes the simplest explanation is the best. Oh, that's where I was going with that.
In hindsight, I get it now.
There we go.
In hindsight, I get it now.
Thank you. Or you're welcome, Brandon.
All right. Well, we'll talk to you later. Yeah, we're rambling. A few more rabbit holes are on the way, so we could end. So
so watch out for Fentimans.
Watch out for Fentimans. It's pretty. I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting. And
Brandon,
what? They're not sponsors. We can say whatever we want. It's interesting.
No, I wasn't saying to say anything good about it. I'm saying, I mean, you and Ann both drank the whole things.
I don't know if she finished hers. Obviously, I finished mine.
And comment below. Let us know. All right.
Talk to you later.
Bye.